Hey y'all, Erin here with
Timothy.
We are excited to be with you today to share our end of year review for Adventures in U.S. History. This was My Father's World second grade curriculum that we used this year, and it is 34 weeks. And now that we've finished it, we are ready to tell you what we thought of it. What did you think of it?
Good.
It was good?
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite part?
Read aloud, math, and history.
Read aloud some math and history. That's from him directly. Okay, now from Mama, my favorite was all of it. Overall, I thought it was a great program. It just has everything that I'm looking for. In my other videos, if you've seen them, I always talk about the teacher's manual. I'm gonna put 2 videos on the end where you can get a little bit more in depth what was like 9 weeks in and what was like 20 weeks in. I talk about the teacher's manual a ton, so helpful. But My Father's World just covers so many things. It's the Christian worldview, Charlotte Mason style, books, love of nature, being outside, and they are short and simple lessons. So when I say that, what do I mean? How long did we spend on school every day?
About one hour and a half.
You're close, about 2.5 hours every day. So you're having so much fun, it felt like an hour and a half, huh? Okay, so that's not bad for second grade. We spent about 2.5 hours every day. We had really focused mornings scheduled out and then more calm, relaxing afternoons. That's kind of the way I preferred it. Okay, so I'm gonna get right in what we did each day and what we really liked. So one of my favorite things is the Bible. So did you read from here? Yep, he read straight from the Bible. The way they did it for second grade, it was the names of Jesus. So we spent the whole year working on this poster, the names of Jesus. You'd get your scripture that you would be focused on Monday. Tuesday, you would copy the scripture. And then the rest of those 2 weeks, you'd focus on scriptures with that same theme. So I just loved it. The names of Jesus was great. Reading from the Bible was great. Okay, next we are gonna jump into history. I love history. History is so fun. And these were our 2 main books we would use for history. So this book right here had a lot of famous people from history. We would read it. Usually he'd write a couple paragraphs about it and then he would illustrate a picture. For this book, it was more like stories throughout the history, things we were learning. So I really enjoyed this one. A few of the other history books we did was the Thanksgiving story, Red, White, and Blue, North American Indians, and then the 4th of July story. So history was a 2 thumbs up for me. All right, the next thing I'm gonna talk about is language lessons. So this is our book that we use for language lessons and spelling. For language lessons, it was copy work, narration, dictation, it was poems, grammar, all sorts of different things. So I really love the way they set up their language lessons, and spelling worked great too. I see real value in how they did this. So those 2 were great for me as well. For science was good as well. One of my favorite parts was birds. This was my favorite part. So there's a lot of things you can do with birds and I would especially recommend, doing the bird watching, feeding the birds in your backyard. We have a bird feeder and we love watching that all the time. Birds was my favorite. They also aligned this up with some of the states we were doing for our state study. Oh, speaking of that, let's take a pause and go back for history. We would also did a United States study. So we would do 1 state a day, and I had a whole binder where we would do a page. We would do the state flower, state bird, color in the state, and then learn some facts from the state. So that was a major part of history this year. Really loved that. This binder is what I use for when we would write a little bit about what we learned and illustrate it. So we talked about birds. We did some science in the kitchen, Science with Erin, and then we did the first Encyclopedia of Science. So that's the one we used a lot this year. Timothy's reading, I just got a huge stack of level 1, 2, and 3 readers. I just got them at the local thrift store or secondhand bookstore and some on Amazon. I really looked for books of things that we were studying throughout the year. So we would just sit on the couch. I'd have him go pick a book that was something similar we were learning about, and then he would read that, and it was very good. Okay, for math, we used the Good and the Beautiful level 2, and this worked for us. So we're gonna keep doing that. We'll be using level 3 next year. A couple of things I wanna talk about is our read alouds that my Father's World included. So they included these books, Pilgrim's Adventures. We read that in the beginning of the year, went perfect with what we're studying about in history. The Courage of Sarah Noble, Sarah Witcher's Story, Farmer Boy, Mountain Born, which was so awesome because it happened to go along when we were learning about I'm the Good Shepherd scripture, and then in Grandma's Attic. Now I can talk about read alouds for a really long time. So I've decided to do a second video where Timothy and I will give it our star ratings, what we thought about it, and we'll talk about which books we love the best, and you can get a second grader's opinion and a mama's opinion on the books that we read. So stay tuned for that video. Since I'm not gonna go into too much detail, I'm just gonna show you what we did read. We did all 5 of the Sarah Plain and Tall books. We did The Sign of the Beaver, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We did Stone Fox, Soapy Mouse, Tolliver's Secret, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, and then we did the 4 Heartwood Hotel books, and then we are currently finishing up the 4th one right now. Then we did Meet Felicity, Meet Kirsten, Meet Samantha, Meet Josephina, One and Only Ivan, and we did the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Penderwick book and the Green Ember. Read alouds, like I said, is one of my favorite parts. So I definitely want to go more in depth and say which ones I really enjoyed and what I thought about those stories. Now, a few things that I added this year that weren't a part of our curriculum, but I felt like they added value. I did 3 things that I just really enjoy doing. We do poetry tea time in our family. That's maybe once a week, maybe twice. After our nap time, quiet time, we'll just do maybe some tea or juice or milk, something fun, and then like a snack with something like a treat, cookies or something like that. And then I'll do a nature poem, some other poetry books, and then I'll do a read aloud. And that has worked beautifully for our family. Timothy is almost 8, and then I have my daughter who is 5, and then my youngest son who's 3. So they all participate in that. We did that as a family, and it's worked beautifully the past 3 years that we've done it. So that's a big thing we do in our family. 2, for this year, we did some pretty awesome field trips. We went to Mount Vernon and saw where George Washington lived. We saw where the Boston Tea Party took place. We went to see the Declaration of Independence in DC, and then we also went and visited the Lincoln Memorial as we learned about him this year. So those field trips I think were very impactful to our school year. And then finally, for extracurriculars, what we did in our family is we do Awana. I do a Bible study once a week, so my kids got a little bit of a Bible study where they were at while I was in mine. And then we also do Sunday school. We're involved in our church. So those were our big things that we do extra as our family. So stay tuned. We are gonna have the book review video coming up, and we're gonna have lots of videos for exploring countries and cultures for our 3rd grade next year. I'm really looking forward to our science next year ecosystem. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Hope today was interesting and you enjoyed it, maybe encouraging. And that's it. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.